Welcome back, history finders. Today, we step behind the rusted gates. From the hollow concrete bones of Detroit, our journey brings us here. To the Lehigh Valley, where 5 silent giants pierce the Pennsylvania sky. Look at them. 200 feet of weathered iron and stubborn brick. Constructed between 1907 and 1921. They stand as monuments to a different era. An era when men moved mountains of ore with fire and muscle. This is the Bethlehem Steel Plant. Once, the beating heart of industrial might. Before the silence settled in, this place fed a hungry nation. It forged the very skeleton of the 20th century. You can almost feel the residual heat lingering in the masonry. Thousands of men walked these catwalks every single day. Their boots wore down the steel steps. Their sweat is baked into the very floors we now tread upon. Think about the sheer scale of the operation. This ground shook constantly. The air tasted of sulfur and iron dust. It was loud. Deafeningly, beautifully loud. A symphony of progress played out in smoke and sparks. Then came the 41st year. The world caught fire. And Bethlehem Steel became something far greater. It became the arsenal of democracy. Operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over 30,000 workers packed these yards. Men and women alike. Turning out armor plate for the United States Navy. Forging massive gun barrels that would decide the fate of nations across vast oceans. They weren't just making metal here. They were building the muscle of the fleet. The aircraft carriers that turned the tide in the Pacific Theater. Every single plate of steel carried the hidden weight of 1,000 nameless laborers. And out of these same massive sheds came the gray structural beams. Rolled on the largest gray mill the world had ever seen. These weren't ordinary beams. They were engineering marvels that reached for the clouds. Those very beams gave form to the Empire State Building. They spanned the San Francisco Bay to hold up the Golden Gate Bridge. When America wanted to touch the sky, it reached right here into Pennsylvania. Walk with me through these cavernous turbine halls. The windows are shattered now. Nature is slowly reclaiming the brickwork. Vines creep up the rusted columns like green veins trying to restart a stopped heart. It feels sacrilegious to speak too loudly in a place like this. Like walking through a cathedral built for machines. The altar is gone. The priests of the furnace have long since packed their lunchboxes and walked away. Look at the sheer thickness of those pipes. Wrapped in asbestos lagging that is slowly peeling away like old skin. Every turn of this labyrinth tells a story of calculated pressure, intense heat, and relentless human endurance. For generations, this plant was invincible. Families lived and died by the whistle. If the mill was running, the town was alive. If the mill stumbled, the grocery stores emptied and the neighborhood held its breath. But nothing lasts forever in the Valley of Iron. The global economy shifted. The fires cooled down for the very last time. In 2001, after producing over 1.1 billion tons of steel, the company filed for bankruptcy. 1.1 billion tons. Wrap your head around that number. It built bridges, skyscrapers, warships, and the very infrastructure of a superpower. And then, silence. A heavy, permanent silence. Now, sterile redevelopment creeps toward the sacred ground. Casinos and art centers rise in the shadows of the blast furnaces. They try to paint over the rust with bright lights and neon signs. You can build all the concert venues you want. You can pave the parking lots over the slag heaps. But you cannot erase what happened here. The ghosts of the floor are too loud for neon to drown out. I run my hand along this cold steel beam. It still bears the maker's stamp, faintly visible beneath decades of grime. A quiet signature left behind by a worker who clocked out and never came back. We owe everything we take for granted in our modern cities to the men who stood right here, breathing in the smoke, risking their lives so we could have a safer, taller, more connected world. Keep looking up at what we used to build. See you in the next ruin.